Hello everyone. I'm Jane. Today, I want to share an article, The 6 Rules of Time. First of all, I want to ask you a question. If people can freely buy and sell time of life, do you support it? This is a debate topic in the debate program I Can IBB. The contestant, Chen Ming, made an argument that still impresses me. He said, no matter who you are, where you are, whether you are born in a rich family or a poor village, a day is 24 hours. Time is the last fare on this planet. Life is a fair exchange with time as a bargaining chip. The weak waste time, and then do nothing. The strong make the best use of everything, and eventually success will come. Only when a person learns to make good use of time can he control the course of fate. All the secrets to unlock the treasure of time are hidden in the amazing 6 rules. Rule number 1. The 80-20th rule, also known as Pareto principle. Some people say that in this life, troubles pile up troubles, and things chase things. If you insist on doing everything well, it is easy to fall into the cycle of inefficiency. The 80-20 rule points out 80% of the output or results often comes from 20% of the input or action. Life does not need to be exhaustive. Focusing on the core 20% is enough to control the overall situation. Warren Buffett once gave his personal pilot Flint a 3-step life plan. First, write down your top 25 goals in life on paper. Second, select the top 5 goals that you think are the most important. Finally, put those 20 unselected goals on your avoid at all costs list, and remember, never pay attention to these things unless you've accomplished the first 5 goals. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, there is a high-frequency phrase: prioritize your first things. By freeing up your time from chores and focusing on key goals with huge impact, you can get ahead in the road of life. For example, find out the key customers that affect the performance and service them well to maintain them. Summarize the core skills that drive your work and sink your teeth into polishing them. Sort out the major projects at hand and make them perfect. Chinese literary scholar Lin Yutang once said, "The wisdom of life lies in gradually clarifying and filtering out those unimportant impurities, while retaining the most important parts." Life need not be greedy for more and for all. Selective focus is always more meaningful than blind busyness. Rule number 2. The introspection rule. A student complained to his instructor, "I spend all day in the lab, but why have I never produced any results?" The instructor asked, "What are you doing during the day?" The student said, "I'm doing experiments." The instructor asks again, "What about at night?" The student replied, "I'm also doing experiments. I get up at 5 o'clock every day to do experiments, and I don't rest until 12 o'clock at night." The instructor smiled and said, "So, when are you thinking?" The student was dumbfounded and couldn't answer. Yes, how can one make progress when one is busy doing experiments all the time but not organizing and analyzing data? I can't help but think of the trap of rat race mentioned in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The rats on the wheel are running desperately with their hairy legs, but they do not know that the right way to get the cheese is to jump upwards. It's like many people who are so focused on the chase that they forget to stop and look at what they are doing. The result is often ineffective efforts, repeat mistakes, and never returns on the path of mediocrity. There is a formula in the book Mindset, The New Psychology of Success: reflection plus pain equals progress. Life is an irresistible advance. Only with frequent checkups to fill in the gaps can we move forward steadily and far. A celebrity once said, "I have no particular advantage over others, so what is my advantage? It is diligent review." He went on to explain that he was used to reviewing his past work and figuring out if that was the right path. Don't use tactical diligence to cover up strategic laziness. The real strong are all transformed and matured through introspection and internal drive. Rule number 3. The square and circle rule. I once saw a McDonald's employee workbook on the internet, which has extremely demanding specifications on time. For example, it takes 4 minutes to ferry beef patties, 6 minutes for chicken wings, 3.5 minutes for McNuggets, and 4.5 minutes for chicken thighs. After something is fried, the backroom staff should immediately put it on the strainer for 4 to 7 seconds, because less than 4 seconds will be more oily, and more than 7 seconds will be dry to eat. And so on, and many more. I can't help feeling, no wonder the small fried chicken restaurant can sweep the world. To formulate the rules to such an extent, whether it is a large enterprise or a small individual, it is bound to achieve something. As the saying goes, only by keeping the rules can you keep your life. In addition to setting goals, it is best to configure corresponding implementation plans and behavioral norms, so that the time can be more controllable. Xing Guofan, a modern Chinese politician, practiced the rules to the extreme in his life. He set 12 daily lessons for himself, covering all aspects of work and rest, meals, reading, work, sports, speech and behavior. Moreover, the daily lessons are very detailed, including the time to wake up, the number of pages to read, the type of books, the length of writing, etc., all have quantitative requirements. He relies on following these norms, polishing a little bit, and improving himself. He just went from a dumb stupid boy to a perfect man through the ages of the ages. After all, people always have inertia, and if they don't set rules, it's easy to muddle along and waste time. Try to be the planner of your own life, and assign KPIs to important time. It is indeed very tired to move forward in the rules, but as long as you stick to them, step by step, you will eventually reap a better version of yourself. Rule number 4. The rhyme rule. I have watched a video like this. In the vast African grassland, the cheetah was chasing the scattered antelopes. But it will only focus on one from beginning to end. Even if other antelopes are closer while running, it will turn a blind eye. In fact, it is not that the African leopard does not know how to adapt, but it knows that the speed of the antelope is not much slower than itself. If the target is easily changed, it will be a waste of energy. It is better to keep a steady rhythm, and it's more likely to succeed. The cheetah's wisdom is the embodiment of the rhythm rule. Cultivate a rhythm that suits you. Do not easily let go of what you are doing to do another completely irrelevant thing. Continuing focus and deep work can often yield unexpected results. In deep work, a very practical method of shutting down is introduced. Set up a closed period of time, turn off cell phones, email, QQ, WeChat, etc., to block all external noise. Then go to deal with challenging matters, and start to break through as soon as possible. Chinese writer Yu Hua is used to being alone when he writes, sometimes even locking himself in his study to cut off all sounds. Disney CEO Robert Iger wakes up at 4:30 all year round because he can think better during this uninterrupted time. Make a schedule that makes sense and easy to practice, according to the realities of the situation. Leave enough time to focus, ensure the pace, and reduce unnecessary interventions. And of course, do not interrupt other colleagues at will, so that the whole team can maintain efficient output. Rule number 5. The streamlining rule. A Chinese entrepreneur once laid down an iron rule for his corporate management. For every additional process, reduce 2 processes. For every additional review point, reduce 2 review points. Because, in his opinion, redundant processes create complexity and must be continually simplified. Indeed, the difficulty of the work is often proportional to the number of steps. The more complicated the process, the longer the execution time, and the easier it is to increase internal friction. In many cases, fewer steps required will save time and improve efficiency and quality. Someone once met an extremely admirable leader. She joined the department during a tough period and had just arrived to take charge of the annual exhibition. As usual, colleagues prepared plans for their respective sectors and reported to them one by one. Unexpectedly, only the first one was completely rejected after he spoke. It turns out that the previous leader always asked everyone to develop sub-projects of each dimension and strictly implement the approval at all levels to prevent mistakes. But not the new leader. She advocates a minimalist process. As long as the completion of the finalized division of labor, small-scale adjustments do not need to go through the process. As a result, the press conference that year was well organized, and even burst out with many new ideas, and eventually won great acclaim. And in previous years, often the day before the deadline, everyone was still queuing up to sign. Someone once said, often the simplest expedient measures can solve the most insurmountable difficulties. Keep everything simple, save the chaff, and travel light. Only in this way can we get the greatest return for our efforts. Rule number 6. The investment rule. A young man once asked Darwin, "You are old and frail, and you are sick all the time. How did you make so many achievements?" Darwin smiled slightly. "Because I never think of 30 minutes as an insignificant period of time. Small steps make a big difference. The gap in life is often opened in minutes and seconds." The famous mathematician Hualuoging spent his life cherishing time like gold, and he often used all the fragments of time to enrich and improve himself. When sitting in a car, others are looking out the window, he often hold a book to read, or think alone. When participating in the cultural evening, others are chatting and walking around during the break, he is silently calculating mathematical problems on the program list. He said, "Time is accumulated by minutes and seconds, and people who are good at using bits and pieces of time will make greater achievements." It is with this superb time management that he succeeded in becoming the father of modern Chinese mathematics. The time investment rule states, invest at least 1 hour a day in your brain and make full use of the fragmented time to learn. In this ever-changing era, it is important to maintain a continuous iteration of cognition in order to gain a firm foothold. You can start your day by listening to books when you wake up in the morning and wash up. You can study the course of your choice online on your commute. You can read some shorter articles while queuing. Benjamin Franklin once said, "If a man empties his purse into his head, no one can take it from him." An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Consolidating your mode in learning is the greatest vision for the rest of your life. As an old Chinese saying goes, aspirants cherish the years, sages cherish the days, and saints cherish the hours. The more a person knows the value of time, the easier it is to reach the heights of life. Plan every second of your life well, don't put it in vain, don't waste it. You and I are the dark horses before the world is settled. As Jorge Luis Borges said,
El tiempo se bifurca perfectamente hacia innumerables futuros.